Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today I have a video for you on a question that I get so often that I actually kind of can't believe I haven't already made a video on this. And that question is, Allie, I've been doing my self-love work, or I did your emotional mastery series, or I've done some of these self-love meditations, and I still don't love myself. It's not working, right? I've read your perception diet, I've done the exercises, I've done other people's self-love stuff, and and at the end of the day, I still don't really love myself. I still have these fears, I still have these doubts, I still have all these problems, and so this self-love path doesn't actually work, and what am I supposed to do? What's next, right? Like I did your meditations, what's next? I did the exercises, what's next? I understand the theory, what's next? And if this is you, okay, if you're feeling like you're doing it and you've done it and you read it and you understand it and you know you have traumas, you know that there are parts of your personality that you've squashed, you know all this stuff, and you're thinking like, so what do I do now? What do I do next? What's the next step now that I know all this, right? Because this phase isn't working. I still don't actually feel any better now that I know this stuff, or I've done some of these meditations and I felt better for a little bit, but I don't really feel better. Like, what the heck is going on? What do I do now? This video is for you, okay? So please sit down and listen, because this is really important, all right? And if you understand and take on what I'm about to say, it will work. And if you don't, you will abandon the path and then it won't work, okay? So basically what I want you to understand is that, like the emotional mastery series that I led you through, right? All that information about how you have basically the one wound, the one trauma that we all carry is the idea that love can go away, right? That is the base of everything. That if I am to be who I truly am, love is going to go away, which is the ultimate false belief, the ultimate paradigm shift of the truth, which is the only way you're ever going to feel ultimate love, the only way you're ever going to feel unconditional love, the only way you're ever going to be able to experience forever and ever this internal sense of peace is when you understand that who you are is who you're supposed to be, that nothing has gone wrong here, that nothing has gone wrong here, and that you were always meant to just be the spark of God that you are, and that it was through your self-rejection that you felt this separation, that you felt like love went away, and then all of these other dramas came from that, okay? That's the ultimate understanding you're going to come to, okay? That's end game, right? So you might not be there right now, and don't worry about that, but I'm just telling you, ultimately you're going to discover it really has nothing to do with anything. Like, it's not, like, your ability to feel love and your ability to feel whole and complete has nothing to do with what you do, has nothing to do with your relationships, has nothing to do with your body, has nothing to do with your job, has nothing to do with any of that. It really is going to boil down to you accepting who you are and understanding that love has never gone away. That the only time love has ever been cut off from you is when you have cut it off from yourself by rejecting or denying a part of yourself, okay? So that's ultimately what you're going to come to, right? But from where you are right now, if you're in drama, right? So if you're in a life that feels bad to you, if you're in dramatic relationships, if you have a crazy relationship with your body, if you have a crazy relationship with money, if you've got self-destructive behaviors, if you have, right, these really painful suffering things in your life, right, you need to understand that where you are right now compared to where that sense of like, okay, I know myself and I'm going to be okay and love is available all the time no matter what I do, no matter what I say, no matter what happens, no matter what anyone else thinks, blah, 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 right, is far, right? There's a big gap between where you are and that feeling of self-love, okay? And you're not going to traverse that gap by doing a meditation or by doing a meditation 10 times, okay? Because really what's going to happen, all right, when you're all the way over here in drama, right, I want you to understand that what you have done, right, is there have been many, many, many phases of walking away from this pure state of understanding that love is always available to you and that you are fully and completely loved and that nothing can take that love away, all right? That what has happened, right, is you had that initial trauma that love can go away, right? And then you started rejecting and denying aspects of yourself. And then through that, you started to develop coping mechanisms as a way of trying to manipulate love to come to you, right? Which is the shadow side of the truth of just being who you are and allowing that love to flow through you, right? Because you are love. This is, again, what you're going to kind of ultimately understand, that there is no love outside of you, that ultimate love is who you are. It is what you are, and it's as you connect in with yourself, right? The more you connect in with who you are and express that, the more of that love you have access to, till eventually you understand that it's just infinite and it is who you are. It is what you are. There is no separation between you and love. There's no love that you're going to get. It's just you finally access this love that you've always been. You stop cutting yourself off from it, right? But right, so you started to reject these aspects of yourself. So you lose contact with these parts of yourself that are love. And so it starts to feel like love is going away more, love is going away more, love is going away more. And then you develop these coping mechanisms that try to manipulate love from those around you, because you start to feel like that's the only place it can come from, right? You start to lose touch with the idea that it's even inside of you, that it's available within you, right? And you start to think, well, it has to come from outside. If it doesn't come from the tribe, I can't have it at all. And so you start to, right, reject parts of yourself that are not socially acceptable, and you start to suppress parts of yourself that are not socially acceptable. You start to behave in ways that have nothing to do with who you really are. You start to believe things about yourself that have nothing to do with who you really are. And, right, you go down this whole big rabbit trail until you're so far away from knowing yourself and being connected with yourself and being connected with that source of love that you are, right, that you're in trauma drama. You're in life just feels awful and terrible and heavy all the time, right? And it's almost like you don't even notice how awful it feels. And you're even like in this place where the most of the world is, right? Where when you think a thought that feels terrible, you think, oh, well, that must be true, right? Rather than the truth, which is always, if a thought feels terrible, it's not true. And I need to go investigate, and I need to go see what that is actually trying to point me to, and where's the poison that I've taken, and how can I come back into the truth, right? And so I want you to understand that these meditations that I've given you, right, these processes that I have given you are like the very first step on the journey, right? You start to discover, like, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start to make peace with your self-sabotaging behaviors, right? Which are not even you so much. They're symptoms of things that have come up, right? Your self-sabotaging behaviors are your ways of trying to manipulate love out of the people around you, trying to manipulate yourself so that you're worthy of love, right? It's this whole big backwards thing that you've created. And when we look at our self-sabotaging behaviors, like I can't be in an argument and I can't do this, and I have like my eating or my drinking or my overspending or my terrible stuff in my relationship, my terrible relationship habits where I always get into these codependent relationships, we think that's the problem. But it's like, no, that's not the problem, right? Those self-sabotaging behaviors are not the problem. And in fact, they are something that you developed inside yourself with a positive intention of trying to get love. Okay? So the first thing you're going to do is realize that these self-sabotaging behaviors are not actually self-sabotaging as you thought, right? You're going to start to bring those into your heart space room, bring those into your temple of understanding, bring those into your awareness and say, okay, I'm just going to be with you, right? I'm not going to reject you. I'm not going to deny you. I'm not going to pretend you're not happening. I want to understand you. Why am I doing this? Right? What is my positive intention? I know you're here for a good reason, right? I love you unconditionally. So you bring your eating into your heart space room and say, okay, you don't have to change. I just want to understand you. You bring your drinking into your heart space room and you say, okay, you don't have to change. I just want to understand you. You bring your bad relationship habits into your heart space room, right? The part of you that wants to be in a relationship with someone who's abusive to you or whatever it is that is your problem. You bring that into your heart space room. You say, okay, you don't have to change. I just want to understand you, right? So this is the first key, is that the self-love path is not a self-improvement path. It's a self-awareness path. We need to understand ourselves. That is all this is, okay? So you start to bring these things into your heart space, and you will start to understand, oh, there's actually like so much positive intention here, right? I think that by doing these things that I'm doing, this is how I'm going to get love, right? These things are not bad. These things are not evil. These things that I'm doing are not bad and evil. I am not bad and evil. I'm not weak-willed. I'm not any of these things. I'm just sad and I'm just hurting and I'm just lonely, right? And then, so you're going to start to see that these self-sabotaging behaviors aren't as terrible as you thought they were, right? And that's the first key. You turn something that you thought was horrible, that you thought you had to get rid of, and you practice seeing it for what it truly is, which is something positive, right? You're doing that thing to try and get love. That's completely innocent, and that's completely beautiful, and that's completely lovely, right? Like that is coming from a place inside of just hurting and wanting love, right? So you stop saying, I'm such a terrible person for drinking, or I'm such a terrible person for eating, or, you know, these relationships are so bad, these are terrible things, and I need to get rid of them. And you start to say, no, okay, I'm doing it for this reason, right? And then you start to understand that a little, and then it will start to bring you back to these woundings of like where you started to develop these habits. And then you're going to start to love those aspects of yourself, right? You're going to love that aspect of yourself that got rejected, right? So the part of you that wants to be loud and boisterous, right? The part of you that is wants a whole bunch of alone time, and that wasn't okay. Like you felt like you had to be social all the time. The part of you that wanted this or that, right? The part of you that felt this way, the part of you that wanted to express this way, and it got like, no, you can't do that, 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 right? Then you're going to start to come to these aspects. And because you've practiced loving something you thought was evil, right, and seeing it for how it really is, you're going to be able to then, because of that practice, okay, see, sequential order, you love the things in the outer reality that you think are so bad, right? You start to see them for what they really are. They start to lead you to these aspects of self that you have thought are so bad, right? That you rejected. Because remember, the only reason love went away is because you rejected yourself. And of course, we all did it, right? You were rejected by an external source, but the thing that caused you pain was that you agreed with that rejection. You then got rid of a part of yourself. That's a part of your connection to love. And so you felt less love. And the more you did that, the more love you felt like went away. So you start to bring these aspects of self that you have rejected and denied and believed were so horrible about you this entire time, right? That you were told, that you believed, right? Like all this stuff were bad about you. It's not okay. You can't be this way. And you start to heal your relationship with that aspect of yourself, right? So again, instead of trying to get rid of the part of you that's like, I can't be a big head, that's terrible, that makes me a bad person, right? If I don't want to spend time with people, that's bad, that makes me selfish, I can't do that, that makes me a bad person. You start to say, okay, this aspect of self, right? Just like with the self-sabotaging behavior. This aspect of self now, you're not wrong, you don't have to change, I just want to understand you. Let me see how you're God. Let me see how you're God. Let me see how you're God. And then you start to mend your relationship internally with this aspect of yourself. And then, okay, so here's the thing. Once you start to discover these aspects of self, right, that you have rejected and denied, once you start to mend your relationship with these aspects of yourself that you have rejected and denied, you're still not going to feel better until you start expressing those aspects. Until you start living in alignment with who you truly are, right? And this is going to cause chaos and destruction in your life before it's going to cause everything to come together, okay? Because now you need to understand that you've built your whole world and all of your relationships and all of your habits upon these foundations of manipulating love, upon these foundations of suppressing yourself, upon these foundations of keeping these aspects of yourself at bay, right? And then all the things that come from that. So when you start to actually fully embrace who you are, you're gonna go through this period and this cycle where your relationships fall apart, or you can't have your job anymore, or you completely lose who you think you are, and you don't know how to eat, you don't know how to do any of these things. Because, right, you've lost this old version of yourself. You're no longer doing the things that were at least working to sort of manipulate love to you, right? And that's why you kept doing them. They were kind of working. That's the thing. You lost all that, but you haven't fully quite yet stepped into the being that you know that you are, right? Or you have stepped into that internally, and now life has to catch up. And there's going to be a ripping out of the foundations, right? So I want you to think of it like, this is not redecorating your house, right? This is not moving the furniture around. This is ripping out the rotten foundations. And that is like a huge process. And that is a big thing that you're going to go through. And it's not necessarily going to feel good all the time. And you're not going to feel like better yet. You're going to feel right. You're going to feel like, okay, I need to do this. You're going to feel like, okay, I'm following a path, right? I know I need to express this. I know I need to be this. I know I need to live more in alignment with who I am. And like I said, it's going to cause all this chaos because everyone around you is going to be like, no, you can't, right? You're going to go all the way back to that 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old self who was initially told you can't be like that, right? And you have to like go back to that right now, essentially, and be it anyways. Do it anyways. Live it anyways. Learn to love you, even if everyone else is telling you you're wrong and bad, and they don't approve of you, right? And it's going to cause conflict, and it's going to cause all of this stuff because you're ripping out the foundations. And because we're all connected, right, it's going to affect pretty much everything that you do. And so this is what you need to understand about the self-love path, is that it will feel really, really great on the other side when you're more able to live in alignment with who you are and life has caught up to you, right? When your external reality has kind of caught up to who you really are because you have started to be that person, right? You have started to live as that being, and you have pushed through the kind of hero's journey of everyone rejecting you and everyone saying you can't do that and all the fears and all the stuff that's going to come up for you when you start to live as yourself, right? So the point of my video here is this: doing the meditations is not the end of the story. Having a realization of who you are is not the end of it, right? So like, think of it like this, right? Sitting there and saying, oh, my body is hurting because I'm hungry. That's not the end of it. You see what I'm saying? You're not going to feel better until you actually eat something. And it's the same way with this. Just realizing the parts of yourself that you have squashed is a part of it. Of course, it's a very necessary part of it. You have to realize it in order to do something about it. But you're not going to feel better until you do something about it. And sometimes when we've gotten really, 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 really hungry or really, 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 really thirsty, right, we've been starved for so long, it's actually painful to eat or painful to drink at first. And that's what it's going to be like when you start to express yourself. When you really start to step into it, you're going to face a whole bunch of the world not wanting you to do it, right? The people around you not wanting you to do it. There's going to be conflict. There's going to be people who resist you. There's going to be all this stuff, and that's not going to feel very good either. There's going to be all these internal doubts and all this internal struggle and all this like, oh my God, I can't do this. Oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. Oh my God, I'm the worst thing ever, da 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 da, right? It's going to be years of processing. Maybe not years for you, but it was years for me. Okay, so that's what I want you to understand. It's like I started this journey in like 2012, and it's 2017 now. And now I'm starting to say, like, yeah, my life and who I am, they align. And I feel pretty great in my life. And this self-love journey really does work. But the thing is, it didn't end with me realizing who I was suppressing. I had to start to be that person. I had to step out and be like, yeah, okay, I'm going to be the girl that my parents hated, that my friends hated, all of these characteristics about me that everyone rejected for so long, I'm going to live them anyways. I'm going to be them anyways. I'm going to do it anyways. And, right? There was total chaos in my life. There was total upheaval. It didn't feel necessarily good in the beginning to, like, completely rip the foundations of my life out. Right? Like, it didn't, like I say, like, the first time we moved to Thailand, it was a complete disaster, technically, right? It was crazy. It was an emotional upheaval. It was, like, emotional shit all day long, every day for 4 months. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, this journey is not so simple, but it's worth it. There is absolutely nothing more worth your time than doing this. So commit to it. And understand, it's not going to feel great after the first 10 meditations, right? You're going to have to be it. You're going to have to do it. You're going to have to live it. And you're going to have to go through the upheaval. And then it will start to feel amazing. And it will start to feel amazing in between there too, but still. Understand that, okay? It's a journey. So like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Be committed to your path. It's not going to feel better today, but it's worth it, okay? If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those down below. And I will see you in the next video. Mwah.